Hi there, and welcome to a special edition of Talkin Fight. Tonight we have Mike
How's it
and
going, guys?
Ray.
How
Ray
you
joining
all
us
doing?
from Toronto, the heavyweight champ of Canada. They're going to talk about the pros and cons of the standing eight count and whatever else comes to mind in the next 20 minutes. So it all started off with a comment by you, Mike, with respect to a possible, uh, just off the top of your head, rule change in boxing. So why don't you start off this conversation then?
All right. Well, last week's episode, I was talking about the standing eight count, which I must let you guys know was already removed from boxing commissions in 1998. So I'm talking about the mandatory or protection count, the count after the opponent has been knocked to the ground or concussed and is allowed to stand up and given a full 8 seconds to collect himself. I know from firsthand training on my own that during that time, you put your heart, your soul into fighting, and you're trying your damnedest not to have yourself be counted out. So you're going to do everything that you can to trick that referee into making you think that you're able to continue when you might not be able to, which in turn causes brain damage in the long run. So that's pretty much what I was going off of for last week. Ray, do you care to comment on this?
Oh, do I?
Yes, you do. Okay, awesome. I can't wait.
First and foremost, I just have a few questions for you. You have issues with the standing eight count. Now, what the standing eight count is, a count that is done while the opponent while the athlete is still standing, hence
Sure.
the name. Okay, so the athlete has not touched the canvas. What happens is, in the event that an athlete is taking punishment without defending themselves or providing any sort of offense via punches.
So not
And the referee,
intelligent defending.
in essence, and the referee deems that it's just like on his way out sort of thing. So what happens is a referee is to then stop the fight, stop the contest, and then gives the athlete a count of 8 seconds to, in essence, collect himself. And then it's up to the athlete to prove to the referee that he is healthy to continue. Now, there's a number of things that have to come into play there. It's not just the athlete putting on a show and dance as much and swaying the referee as much as the referee takes into account, or at least is supposed to take into account, several other things like how is the athlete standing? Is he what does it look like in his eyes? Is his eyes all glazed over or scrambled, whatever the case may be? What's his balance like? These things you're not faking. Like, you're just not faking. I don't care if you're an Oscar-winning actor. That's what happens with the standing eight, which is not to be confused with the 10 count, which is what happens if the athlete actually touches canvas. If the athlete touches canvas, then it's assumed, or sorry, not just touches canvas, but is inhibited from touching canvas by the ropes. So if he's knocked into the ropes, and if the ropes weren't there, he would have touched the canvas, then that's considered a knockdown. And the athlete is then given a count of 10 to, again, prove to the referee that he is physically capable of continuing in the contest. Now, back to the standing eight. The standing eight, I feel, is integral to the sport. It is a safety measure to ensure the health of the athletes, hence why they stop it. There's several instances where an athlete could get accidentally clipped. He gets caught. That's just the sport. Gets clipped, bewildered. All of a sudden, there's a flurry coming. He's covering up. He's doing whatever the case may be, and he's not defending himself. Yes, the ref stops it, gives it a recount, resets the count, gives the athlete the time to clear his head, and prove to the athlete or the referee that he's perfectly capable of continuing. I remember a fighter by the name of Pulov, Kurbet Pulov. I can't remember the opponent he fought, but I was offered that fight. That's all. That's why I remember it so well. And it was the first time that Pulov got knocked down. Now, granted, it was a knockdown as opposed to a standing 8, but still, he got knocked down. A flash knockdown isn't something that is detrimental to an athlete in any way, shape, or form. At least not something that you can measure. He got up. He said he was fine, frantically saying he's fine. He then stood on one foot to show that he is perfectly fine. In the event, the same thing could happen with a standing 8 count. An athlete gets clipped. I've been in that scenario where I was fighting a guy. I was timing his punches for the first 3 rounds. In essence, he threw the exact same thing for 3 rounds. All of a sudden, the 4th round, he opened the round up with a flurry. I ended up getting caught by one of the flurry, only one, but it was almost as if I was playing Matrix, trying to bat away the other ones, but I was off balance, and I'm batting away, and then I get an 8 count. I was perfectly fine. I just got caught, stumbled, and in the midst of flurry. In accordance to your suggestion, the fight would have been over. Now, granted, in this fight, I end up getting robbed and given a draw when I clearly won, but still, a draw is a hell of a lot better than the loss that you would have given me. Shame on you.
I'm sorry, champ. I'm just worried about the boxers' longevity and in their health.
By all means.
The more rounds that go on and the more times that that fighter is given that opportunity to regain his composure after being concussed is a recipe for long-term issues and brain issues.
You're not going to get an argument from me on that point. The health and safety of athletes in this sport is paramount with me. But the reality is most of the damage that's done in the fight is minuscule, it's nothing by comparison to what they've done in training. In a fight, getting ready for a fight, a 12-round bang-up, I was in camp with one person who did 12 rounds every day, 3 times a week for 4 weeks to get ready for one 12-round fight.
That's quite a bit,
right?
That's quite a lot of shots to the head.
That's quite a lot of shots. So the damage that was done, if he sustained any kind of injury, what society sees is the competition. What happened in the ring? Okay, so he ends up getting caught by something big, and whatever the case may be, he stumbles or something catastrophic happens. But what they don't see is what's behind the scenes, is the weeks or months prepping up for this and all the damage he took prior to that. A lot of these fighters go into competition actually injured, actually concussed.
True, very true.
I was in camp with one person who I will not name. He was fighting for a world title. He was fighting against Vladimir Klitschko.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in getting ready, this was a big money fight. It's Vladimir Klitschko. It's an opportunity to be a world champion. He didn't stand a chance by my standards, but who am I?
Three-time champ, that's who you are.
He got beaten in camp. We gave it to him in camp.
You ran him through the gauntlet.
Like, honestly, one, he was fragile. 2, he was small. He got beaten. Like, his neck was tweaked, his back was tweaked. He finally rolled his ankle on my foot, and that's when they called the fight. He would have gone into the fight. He was ready to go into the fight. People see this as his warrior-like tactics or warrior-like heart. No. Live to fight another day.
True.
I like, that's just how I see it.
Now, do you think that there are any ways that we could attack the concussion? Like, do you have any ideas on how to prevent these long-term damages to boxers?
I'm a wee bit opinionated. I've been told. Yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and I'm hoping that a lot will be done. It starts with the referee. The referee is the only thing that separates boxing and I guess MMA from modern day gladiators. Genuinely, they are the traffic cops. They stop things before it gets stupid. I have fought several fights with incompetent referees. Several fights. The former athletic commissioner, I know he's a friend of Graham's, but I don't care. Ken Hayashi was a monster. And he hired guys who were not trained. Literally not trained. Not a scintilla trained to be a professional boxing referee.
Which is really dangerous, I guess.
Which is beyond dangerous. Actually, I think it's grounds for a lawsuit, an unsafe work environment. I don't know. That's just me, but I hate the man. Literally, these referees don't know. Like, that's the first thing I would change. These referees have to be trained on, one, looking for the signs that a person's taken too much.
Some sort of medical training.
Not just medical, but like just sports awareness. I fought a fight against a guy. The first time I got, like, technically the only time in my whole career that I got knocked out, and like we're talking both amateur and pro, I got knocked out, and I got knocked out cold. How? He's now a friend. We weren't friends then. But big, I call him the D train. He calls the next big thing King, Demetrius. He's just a beast of a human being. I think 5'11", but he was like 280 pounds. He looked like a linebacker. The first time we met, it was a 6-round fight, and I handled him easily for the first 6 rounds. It was nothing. Like, I was just frustrated because at the end of the day, he is a durable fighter who had never been stopped. He didn't have the best record, but he had fought so many guys, so many great guys. Shannon Briggs, former world champions. Shannon Briggs fought former world champion Bermains Taverne, beat Bermains Taverne. And I was just like, I got to stop him. So I went into this fight, and I'm handling him, but I'm not stopping him. Like, I'm giving this guy some good shots, and I'm not stopping him. And the referee just was a spectator. He did not do anything. I think it was in the end of the 4th round. He hit me, Demetrius. I guess we're in the middle of being engaged. He hit me with 2 shots after the bell. I looked at the ref, and the ref stood at me and said, "What?" I was like, "Okay." It was just a mess of a fight. But going into the 6th and final round, I learned something. The fight's not over until the fight's over. I'd won the first 5 rounds. It was a cakewalk. And then I said, just get this over with. Like, I didn't stop him. I didn't see any way of stopping him. I was a little bit dejected by it. I just said, let's just get this over with. And Demetrius came out like a house on fire. He was swinging. And for the most part, I was just like, okay, he's just annoying me. He's just annoying me. I'm just batting punches, but eat one, bat, eat one, bat, eat one. And I really wasn't launching any kind of serious offense. I'm just like, where's that bell? Where's that bell? And then the 10-second notice came, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, okay, it's almost there, boom. And I got clipped. And I fell into the ropes, which is a knockdown. And the ref was supposed to stop it then. A knockdown, which I would have gotten up, gotten my 8 count, I'd have been fine. But what happened was the ref was standing there like the spectator that he was, watched Demetrius hit me another 4 more times, almost to the point where I almost went out like ass over tea kettle over the top rope from the solid smashes I got. And then I just sort of slithered onto the floor. And that was it. I'm like, grounds for a lawsuit against Ken Ayashi and that ref, by all means.
So
like, I hate the man.
So you believe a standing 8 count would have?
No, that was a standing 8 count was more than necessary.
More than necessary, and would have given you the opportunity to maybe come back and win this fight.
Well, I had 7 seconds left. I got stopped with 7 seconds left in the fight. But more importantly, and it's not just the win of the fight, but my overall health. Me taking a shot and losing balance, because that's what happens why a knockdown is a knockdown. You've lost balance. You've lost something.
You've been concussed.
In essence, right? You stop it. You give the guy an opportunity to collect himself. You don't sit there and allow him. This is one of the reasons why I'm not big on mixed martial arts, where you knock a person down and then you continue pounding them until they go stiff. I thought it was egregious. I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was deplorable. And it desperately needs change. I haven't seen the change yet. There's a couple of, in Ontario, there's a couple of really good referees who are working to make a difference, but nowhere close to fast enough.
What would you like to see? How fast would you like to see this going in the next 5 years? Where would you like to see it at?
What would I see happen?
Yes, in the next 5 years. What would you like to see happen?
Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to see a coordinated registration program course for referees, not the different belts having their individual certifications, but one governing certification that encompasses and has the actual the intention of the health of the athletes at like being paramount. I'd like to see that course created and implemented, then governed, like even if it's by force, make these referees study this stuff. Then the officials have to study this, because this is something that a lot of people don't recognize. It's not just the referee who has the right to stop a fight. The referee can stop a fight, but so can the ringside officials. They can actually throw something in and stop the fight. So can the athletic commissioner, can stop a fight. So can the coaches in the corner. Now, the coach in one corner cannot throw the towel in to stop the fight if the other opponent's getting beaten, but that fighter's coach can. So there was a scenario that happened a couple of years ago with this one guy, Tim Hague, who ended up dying. I think they all are at fault. The ringside doctor, he could have stopped that fight. The fighter touched canvas 8 times in 2 rounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 2 rounds. And it wasn't even a title fight. The referee is responsible for that death. The ringside doctor is responsible for that death. The athletic commissioner is responsible for that. The coaches in the corner are responsible for that. They all could have stopped it. And they didn't. I think that a whole lot of education is necessary for the collective. And that's the only way you're going to get anything, any changes happening.
Well, those are some big thoughts. Wow. I don't know what to say to that.
Is there any other jurisdiction that's far ahead of Ontario and far ahead of Canada with respect to implementing those kind of changes?
No, not so much in the way of implementing them, but Quebec is arguably the premier province when it comes to boxing action. Boxing, just credibility and stability. There's some phenomenal, there are world-class referees out of there. Mind you, Ontario now has a couple of world-class referees on their own right. In the way of, there is no mandatory course to be taken. I think you can, in Ontario, it used to be that you go and take the course and pay out of pocket. So these courses are done at the conventions. The convention could be in, I don't know, it could be in Ukraine. You're going to pay for your flight to Ukraine, your accommodations, and the course. Come back and then make pittance on, especially if it's like, if you're in Ontario where there wasn't much action for a very long time. Like I think it was in 2000, I think it was the year was 2006, that there was, in the province of Quebec, there was 50 fights over the course of the year between 6 promoters. In that same calendar year, there was 3 fights in the province of Ontario. How would the officials of Ontario then be able to get the work experience to have the timing to know how to do their job effectively? I don't know. I do know. I think that there's a couple of things that I would implement, and one of them, outside the mandatory course, would be mandatory amount of hours reffing either sparring sessions or reffing amateur fights. Something, just getting your timing in there. The example I gave where I got knocked out by Demetrius King, that ref, even though he had amateur reffing experience, he needed prayer.
He needed hours.
Yeah,
he needed hours being able to watch a professional bout and judge him properly.
He needs structure, he needs education, and then he needed an apprenticeship. So, yeah.
All right. Well, my producer's telling us we're running out of time. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
I'm hoping that there's big change. I feel that there's big change coming for the sport, and I hope that the only way I can see the sport surviving is if something is done in the way of taking care of the athletes, looking after the athletes better, because the current I don't think anything has changed in the century plus years that it's actually been going on. At least not much, nowhere close to enough. So, yeah.
Mike?
Oh, I'd just like to take this time to say, to Ray, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast and talk it out with us. I think you should be an advocate for the change in boxing if you feel so passionately about it. And if there's anything that we can do to help you with your movement, please reach out. Let me know. I would definitely love to help you with that movement in boxing awareness.
Thank you. No, genuinely, it actually does bother me a great deal. So yeah, I do hope to be an advocate when I eventually when I grow up. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time. And to you listeners out there, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye now.